So it all revolves around ego. Like I try to make it really simple. 100% it is the male's ego that's getting in the way of being able to do the things that the women are complaining about.
Okay.
But simply, and this is so powerful, just ask questions. Like a lot of women are willing and ready to even teach their man because for them it's more about connection. So like they don't need the big piece. They don't need for you to be a pleasure dom. They're willing to teach you if they first have a connection with you. If they want to be in love with you, they'll make up something, right? Like
Now, I always think the funny thing with women is that, like, when they're actually with a guy, like, he's great at sex. The second they break up, he's the worst person that ever, swung a penis.
we've been boys, you know what I mean? Like we go, everybody talking in the locker room about having sex, and we virgins, but we talking about it too, right? So, like, if you are a guy who's saying, "No, I actually like to watch her have an orgasm," like that's not what everybody want to hear. They want to hear that you beating her from the back, knocking her down, whatever the case may be. So, like, you're shaking your head and nodding your head, like that's what I do. And in actuality, you not doing that, and you probably fall along the lines of being someone who takes good satisfaction in giving it, which is what I like.
Is every man capable of doing that?
I think so. I think good sex is a skill. And so like any skill, you can learn it. You know what I mean? Like some people don't have the parts, you know what I mean, to do certain things. But with technology nowadays, with the way toys are engineered, they have penis extenders. You know, they're like, whatever you were born with, go get a new one. Like you can do that nowadays. So, yeah, no,
Just like
the short
Drake,
answer
right?
is yeah. I just listened to that beat today. I was like, that's crazy. Indeed. But no, the short answer is yeah. I think everybody's capable. I just think the information is there. And guys specifically, like we just have such a huge ego as it pertains to our member that we'd rather just be ignorant, than to just go do it. I mean, similar to hooping. Like sports podcast, and I do play basketball a little bit, but you walk in the gym and it's just like instead of working on your game, you just go out there and act like you can hoop, and then depending on the people around you, whether you do have that level of skill.
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so guys who
That's me. I don't know.
yeah, man, guys who, and I can't say this was earlier on, like I started maybe 3 years ago, but guys who would be in a room while I'm in the room performing, I would say, they would then know that there are levels to this, if you will. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Kind of similar to one thing you said. I've been holding on to that, and I no longer say I do this when it comes to basketball.
Yes.
I love it because no, there are levels to it. So
Yes.
yeah, I can play basketball, but I'm never saying I do this.
Yeah.
And so like guys or like ladies who see me perform or find out what it is that I do, they no longer should be saying, yeah, I do this.
Right. I like that. I like that a lot. I remember that. Yeah.
One thing I had on my mind to ask too is, so what are some of the complaints that you hear from women, okay, about the men in general, okay, in the bedroom? What are some of those complaints?
So it all revolves around ego. Like I try to make it really simple. 100% it is the male's ego that's getting in the way of being able to do the things that the women are complaining about.
Okay.
But simply, and this is so powerful, just ask questions. Like a lot of women are willing and ready to even teach their man because for them it's more about connection. So like they don't need the big piece. They don't need for you to be a pleasure dom. They're willing to teach you if they first have a connection with you. If they want to be in love with you, they'll make up something, right? Like
Now, I always think the funny thing with women is that, like, when they're actually with a guy, like, he's great at sex. The second they break up, he's the worst person that ever, swung a penis.
yes, that happens.
But it's because that speaks to their psychological connection to sex. It is about like this person and like the mental attachment that they develop for him. While that's strong, everything's amazing. But when that goes for whatever reason, they're going to snap like in a flash and be on to the other thing. They don't have the same context. Like you've said before, like there's people you've dealt with in the past, like, oh, that's the best head I ever had. You're not going to sit there and deny that. Like you're not going to diminish it. It's
But
just
women,
not how we as men like, process our lives and our experiences. But they do it completely differently.
yeah. And so like the serious complaint is just that he thinks he knows it, right? Like it's and again, like the solution for it is actually what I gave it when you asked the question. But like guys should just ask questions. Like you can't think it's a one size fit all. Whatever you were doing for her, pick a name, right? It may not work for the other young lady. So the biggest complaint that I get with clients is just that like he's not listening. you know. And because I do operate on like integrity, right? I don't allow a woman to come see me if she's in a relationship. So like he has to come too. But I'm talking about like in consultation. Like if they have a conversation with me on the phone, if they send some information to me.
Okay.
And so that also gives me an idea of what I need to talk to him about when we finally had that conversation.
What was your journey to get into this lane?
Oh
Yeah, we
man.
kind of skipped that.
Oh man. Well, I was 7 years old. I stepped out of the shower and had to carry it with both hands in the house. I'm totally kidding. No, for real. No, no. So it's kind of started humble beginnings, man. I was married for 12 years with my ex-wife for about 15.
Okay.
And like in short, I did something dumb at the end of the relationship. But you know, my part, I definitely take accountability, but in response, it was just like, hey, it's not enough of it is going on at home, right? Not enough sex is going on at home.
Right.
And then her response to that, once we had a talk, was that, like, I just think you are addicted. And so once the divorce happened, I was online trying to find somewhere to go. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to Hito. Like, they have the little thing that goes on out there in Jamaica where it's a nudist resort, right? So I was like, man, I'm going to Hito. So are my Royal Oats, whatever I was going to do.
So wait, prior to that, you'd never ventured at any sort of place like that? Or
No, not at all.
Okay.
And so I can definitely say that, and remember I mentioned it earlier, like guys do this, like people do BDSM and kink all the time. They just don't have a language for it, right? So I do want to bridge that gap, right? But so like I've always been into pleasuring her. Part of the reason was like I would not have an orgasm because once she was ready to have another orgasm, I'd now hold it so that she can have another.
Okay, got
And then so she can have another, and she's sitting there like, stop, like get up, we got to go to work in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and like me, you know, college student, and then moving into being an older adult, like I still didn't have a concept of responsibility as much as sex was important to me. So I failed miserably, right? I didn't stop, but no. So fast forward to now, I'm like, hey, I want to get out and try this, and part of it was to have fun, but the other part was really to see if I had a problem, like if I'm too hypersexual, if this is an addiction, because I don't mind learning.
Because that was the narrative she was giving you.
100%.
And it made you think, am I really this person?
Right. I mean, because I was losing a partner, right? Like I wasn't happy that the marriage was over. I definitely don't condone, you know, what I did or that I would want that to happen. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And so I just had to grow from it. Like for the next relationship, how do I be better? I can't have the next woman tell me that I'm addicted to sex, right? So part of it was for fun, but the other part was simply, let me go find out if there's and sure enough, instead of going to Hito, I went to a place in Cancun. I got a message online. A young lady was like, well, she wasn't a young lady. She's probably like late 30s. She was like, hey, don't go there. If you come here, I'll take care of you.
Okay.
And that's what I said. Brilliant.
As you
Hey,
should.
so, yeah. So I ended up going to that resort. I paid for like a 5-day vacation, and for 5 days I was slutted out, bro.
Really?
Whoa.
And I mean like when I arrived, this is no joke. She met me in the lobby, and before my luggage got to my room, she walked me to my room. We had intercourse that day, and then like every day after, I say slutted out because it's a lifestyle, right?
Right.
And everybody's not a part of the community, and there's a lot of discretion that you want to use because some of these people, like I've met with, you know, COOs of companies, you know, HR execs, whatever, and so they are secretive, you know, with symbols and things like that because the whole resort isn't doing that life. And so what she would do is any friends that she knew about that were a part of the lifestyle, she would secretly let them know that I was now a part of the lifestyle.
Okay.
I would end up being passed on through the resort that was the best part of my life.
Really?
No, actually, I'm sorry. It wasn't.
I'm calling bullshit.
But yeah, so after that vacation, I now knew that I wasn't addicted. Like there were different levels, right? And then like, you know, so my ex-wife wasn't, you know, on the level of libido that I had to continue sex in that manner. And so I started researching.
I have two questions here that
Sure.
don't really relate. So one is, could you ever see yourself, like from this moment on, in a serious relationship with someone who is not familiar with that lifestyle at all?
Okay.
And then two is, what about like safety? sexual safety. All right, so
Oh.
I know those two don't relate at all, but I
They-
have to get those out.
No, they
before I
do.
forget.
They do.
relate.
And
Oh, okay.
so to me, here's why, right? Here's why I make the connection, because I want to be honest with the next woman that I get with, right?
Yeah.
And so she wants to know. And so if I'm giving her this information the same way that you would consider, wow, like, is all of that, you got passed around a resort, slutted out, like, how safe was that, right? So the next woman that I get involved with in a serious relationship may want to know about the safety. So I'll answer the last one first. Like, safety is of the utmost importance. Like, when we are in parties, I guess I would say, like play parties and things
Mhm.
like that, you have to present test results. And not
Okay.
everybody requires it, but I don't want to participate in those. You know what
So
I mean?
you'll really go to the resort and have test results on hand. and
100%.
you're-
Or I mean, you share them with the individual that you plan on meeting before you get there.
Right.
I am tested thoroughly, like, because we look at HIV for like the next 3 months. If I'm not active, I will do it every 3 months just because, right? Because
Yeah.
again, what I do doesn't always involve penetration, right?
Right.
So like I can give a pleasurable experience, make women whatever without having to, right? Especially if they have boyfriends and things like that.
Yeah.
But if I am active, no, it's like every chance they get. Like the one in Seminole County, they give free testing every Thursday, and so
Okay.
like I'm out there.
Okay.
out there.
So they promoting safety
knows
too.
the
100%.
He knows,
And-
he knows the whole staff.
Oh, yeah, the whole staff knows me. Like, so the one question that I hate, well, and it depends on like how many clients I've gotten, is like, so how many partners have you had in the last year? And I always say 2, right? Like regardless, because it's a body count and none of your business, right? But no, safety is very important, right? So I get tested often, right? And
Okay.
as do most people that are involved in this lifestyle. The other thing that I'll speak to is 100%. Like I have a heart for a serious, relationship, right? Monogamous relationship. And so I am looking for a woman who can accept all of the new things that I've learned, which includes this, right? Because this is just going to help our lives get better.
Mhm.
And so like the short version is I've actually been in a relationship since my marriage. And we actually broke up because she no longer wanted to have sex, which was odd. Like,
What, you burnt out in a month?
no.
It was actually 4 days.
Let me see. Oh, that's funny. Without uncovering, right? Like, I don't know who would ever watch this.
Yeah.
I would say, like, it was crazy. Like, we met, and like, she found out that I was really good at whatever, right? So like, that's how the relationship started. You know what I mean? So it was just really odd to me that later on, like 6 months later, she was like, "Hey, I'm deciding that I'm going to be abstinent, and like I need you to join in."
Wait, abstinent?
Like you don't
Not even
understand.
like you want to.
No, like before, like she was like, "You know what? I'm now being led to wait until I'm married." And the truth is, I tried it because, again, to your
Did
question,
You
100%. To your question, I wrote a poem about it. Like, here you go.
I would have been like, I'm gonna lead you out the door. I'm not. I'm like, if I am talking to a grown person, and they say the word abstinence,
A grown person.
my respect just diminishes. I
Oh
can't,
man.
No, because I honestly, I
I hear
feel
you.
like I don't understand where you're coming from. Like you cannot make a rational argument for abstinence.
She's speaking a different language now.
Yeah.
But
No.
seriously, like any grown person, Bubba, if you announce that to me,
Oh man.
my respect for you drops.
Oh, but see, I mean, again, from after the marriage and what she said, like I did learn from that. And the
Mhm.
truth is, what I learned from that relationship, because again, I tried it, and then at some point she just sent me a message and she was like, "I cannot be with you." She didn't say she didn't want to, right? But because the temptation was so great, like she understood what was going on, how, you know what I mean? Like, not pat myself on the back, whatever. Like, she understood that it was worth it. So when we'd get together, it'd be tougher. Sometimes I'd sleep on top of the covers to try to work. I'd sleep on the couch, and then maybe something would still happen. And so, like, she just sent me a message one day, and I appreciate her for it. Like, she knew how to keep boundaries. She knew that it's something she couldn't do, and I was trying really hard, and, I failed a few times. And so, yeah.
In that relationship, was that a partner that you participated in lifestyle events?
Not at
with?
all. I think I brought it up to mention that I stopped practicing, what it is that I do. I didn't stop practicing giving advice. Like, people would still cash at me or send me questions, and I give them answers or whatever. So that was income, But I did stop participating because it would make her uncomfortable, and
Right.
100%. Like I'm capable of it, which is the point. I learned from that relationship that it's not like a badge of honor to attempt to be abstinent. Like as a man, you have to have dick discipline. Like you do need to learn that because it will, not if it happens. Your spouse might, get into a car accident, God forbid, or like you might have an issue where